Energy is not just another line item in a national budget. It is the invisible architecture of civilization itself. When energy is cheap and abundant, we have the luxury to focus on culture, innovation, and social progress. But when energy becomes scarce, the veneer of modern stability begins to crack. In 2026, we are no longer dealing with a temporary spike in prices. We are witnessing a fundamental realignment of how the world powers itself. Europe is the epicenter of a global energy trilemma, a brutal three-way struggle to balance security, equity, and sustainability. Today, we are dissecting the fallout of the Great Decoupling, the rise of energy poverty, and why the battle for your thermostat is the front line of a new global order. 1. The Great Decoupling, a lesson in strategic liability. To understand 2026, we must recognize a profound historical error. For 30 years, the West followed the philosophy of Wandel durch Handel, the belief that trade creates peace. By 2019, nearly 50% of the EU's natural gas came from a single source, Russia. This wasn't just trade, it was a voluntary surrender of sovereignty. Following the 2022 invasion of Ukraine and the subsequent Great Decoupling, that number has plummeted to just 12%. This transition was not free. It required a total structural rebuild of the continent's lungs. While Norway has stepped in to provide 30% of the supply, and the United States has become a permanent anchor for LNG, liquid natural gas, the peace dividend of cheap energy is gone. We have traded cheap, high-risk gas for expensive, low-risk stability. The data confirms it. Wholesale gas prices in mid-2025 remained 10% higher than the pre-crisis average, creating a permanent new floor for the cost of living. 2. The Energy Trilemma, the impossible balance. Every government in 2026 is currently juggling three spinning plates that don't want to move in the same direction. This is the Energy Trilemma. Security. You must ensure the lights stay on regardless of the weather or war. Equity. Energy must be affordable or the social contract will dissolve into riots. Sustainability. We must transition to green energy to ensure long-term survival. The friction is clear. To ensure security, Germany reopened coal plants in 2024. To drive sustainability, the UK expanded carbon taxes. But both actions hurt equity by raising prices for the average family. In 2026, there is no perfect policy. There are only trade-offs. 3. Affective Realism, the psychology of a cold home. Energy isn't just an economic issue, it is a neurological one. As we analysed in the political empathy gap, economic hardship fuels affective realism. When a human being is cold, their brain shifts from long-term thinking to immediate survival. By 2024, 36.3% of UK households, nearly 9 million homes, spent more than 10% of their income on energy. This is fuel poverty. When people are forced to choose between heating and eating, they lose faith in mainstream institutions. This collective stress is the primary fuel for the populist movements we see rising across the continent. A cold home is the ultimate breeding ground for political radicalization. 4. Industrial. De-industrialization, the quiet exodus. If energy is the blood of a nation, then heavy industry is its vital organs. we are witnessing a capital flight driven by the kilowatt hour. In 2024 and 2025, EU industrial production value in energy-intensive sectors like basic metals and chemicals dropped by over 4%. Factories aren't just shutting down, they are moving. They are migrating to where energy is cheap and secure, specifically the United States and the Middle East. As we explored in The Soul of England, when a nation loses its industrial base, it loses its ability to fund its own future. Without steel, chemicals and fertilizers, a nation stops being a producer and starts being a dependent. 5. The LNG Siphon, Energy Colonialism in 2026. This crisis has a dark global shadow. When Europe decided to pivot away from Russian pipes, it turned to the global LNG market with an open checkbook. By outbidding everyone else, Europe effectively siphoned gas away from the global south. In 2022 and 2023, countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh suffered massive blackouts because they couldn't compete with European prices. While global markets have somewhat stabilised in 2026, the resentment remains. Much of the world now views Europe's quest for energy security as a form of energy colonialism, where Western comfort is subsidised by the darkness of developing nations. 6. The tech leap, the Internet of Energy. The only way out of the trilemma is a technological leap. In 2026, we are moving beyond dumb wind turbines toward AI-managed smart grids. We are seeing the rise of the prosumer, individuals who produce their own solar power and store it in their electric vehicle (EV) batteries. With over 720,000 new EVs entering the EU grid every quarter, these vehicles are no longer just transportation. They are a massive, decentralised national battery. AI now balances this load in real time, buying energy from your car when the grid is strained and charging it when the wind is blowing. This is the Internet of Energy, and it is the only path to true technological sovereignty. 7. Synthesis. The end of energy dogma. The era of pure energy solutions is over. In 2026, the winning nations are those practicing energy pragmatism. This is the English synthesis applied to power, a balance of local resilience and national strategy. It means admitting that a green future requires a bridge of natural gas and a foundation of nuclear power. Nations that ignored nuclear, like Germany, faced the harshest price shocks, while those with a nuclear base, like France, maintained more stability. Pragmatism means moving from a religious devotion to one energy source toward a diverse portfolio that can survive any geopolitical shock. 8. The AI energy nexus, computing as a national resource. To take this further, we must address the most critical trend of 2026, the AI energy nexus. Global data center power demand is increasing by nearly 20% annually. AI is the ultimate energy glutton, yet it is also the only tool powerful enough to optimize the complex, fragmented energy systems of the future. In 2026, compute has become a national resource, just as vital as oil was in the 20th century. We are entering an era of computational sovereignty, where a nation's power is measured by its ability to generate the massive amounts of electricity required to run its AI models. If you don't have the energy to run the chips, you don't have the intelligence to run the economy. Your home's thermostat is now in a direct competition with the server farms that power our world. Conclusion: the resilient world. The energy crisis was never just about the price of gas. It was a stress test for the modern world. As we've seen in our looks at the trade paradox and national identity, the world of 2026 is no longer a friction-free market. It is a world of fortress economies and strategic resilience. The road ahead is difficult, but it is also an opportunity to build a system that is cleaner, fairer, and above all, secure. You are an active participant in this story. Whether it's through microgeneration in your own home or demanding pragmatic energy policies from your leaders, your choices matter. Stay warm, stay informed, and stay strong. We'll see you in the next analysis.